The Crossroads of the West Gun Show at the Del Mar Fairgrounds is back, but its future there remains up in the air at the hands of the courts and the governor. News 8's Alicia Summers has more on the uncertain future of the controversial North County Gun Show. Alicia?
After a 9-month hiatus, Crossroads of the West Gun Show returns to Del Mar. It's no doubt drawing a lot of controversy, but it's also expected to draw more attendees because it was suspended for so long. 10,000 people are expected to attend the Crossroads of the West Gun Show in Del Mar this weekend.
Crossroads is a family-owned company. We've been in business for 43 years. We're back here and we're happy to be back.
Last year, the Del Mar Fairgrounds Board of Directors voted to suspend the gun show in response to requests from gun safety advocates. Crossroads filed a lawsuit against the fairgrounds and the state, claiming the ban violated their First and Second Amendment rights, the right to commercial speech and the right to assembly. The federal judge issued an injunction in June allowing the shows to resume. This is the first one since then.
We've been in business for so long that we are not a problem. We are really here to educate and help people understand that the proper use of firearms.
Assembly Bill 893 has the potential to permanently end gun sales at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Governor Gavin Newsom has until October 13th to sign or veto it. Never Again CA is targeting the Del Mar Gun Show.
We have children who belong to our group who have to pass by the gun show on their way to a lockdown drill at school.
The founder of Never Again CA says she wants to stop the sale of firearms and ammunition on state-owned property.
The community does not believe that they want this level of activity brought into their community in this epidemic of gun violence.
Others argue it's a slippery slope.
When they outlaw guns, only the outlaws will have them.
Protesters are expected to gather outside of the fairgrounds, but Crossroads of the West will also be holding a rally Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. The first 150 attendees to that rally get free tickets to enter, which is usually $16 for an adult. Back to you.